We honor Frank Golata not only for his skill as an outfitter, but for the example he set for us. In the beginning of the 20th century, he laid the foundation for the way for us to live here in the beginning of the 21st. He worked for the forces of progress, working for the railroads as they spread across western Canada. He outfitted the first survey crew for the Alaska Highway. He packed for oil explorers and miners. But even as progress became inevitable, he never wavered from his deep personal conviction that people should leave nature better than they found it. People should not take more than they need. He never overhunted and was a conservationist before it was clearly defined. He lived the outdoors with all of his senses. He hunted with a camera as well as a gun. He was a painter of outdoor art. He was a writer for Outdoor Life magazine. Frank Golata was one of those people who was trained to live within the constraints of civilization, but made the choice to follow the call of his heart to wide open wild. Born to Polish immigrant parents who were woodcarvers by trade, he grew up in the railroad foundry town of Dunkirk, New York, on the shore of Lake Erie. Frank grew up working as a carpenter and a draftsman. He developed a great love for the outdoors, camping, fishing, skiing, and hunting in the Adirondack Mountains. Knowing there were higher mountains and wilder spaces, he soon headed west into Canada, and he kept going west, exploring as he went. He followed the grain threshers across the prairies into British Columbia, and there found his home close to the Peace River in Rolla, purchasing a farm in 1913 for $10. He farmed, but his reputation as an explorer was spreading. He was hired as a guide for the Henry Party in 1928 and the Charles Badeau expedition in 1932. Frank guided for Count Ledebeau and learned the outfitting business. In 1936, he guided an Ohio hunter, Mr. L.S. Chadwick, into the Musquaw River country of British Columbia in search of stone sheep. The Chadwick ram taken on that hunt is the only North American wild sheep ever recorded with horns that measured more than 50 inches. Frank's name was now tied to history, and he became a full-time outfitter. He and his wife lived happily beside the Peace River for 46 years. He was always close to the nature he loved. Upon his retirement in 1959, they moved to Shuswap Lake, about as close to civilization as Frank wanted to be, where he spent his time fishing and watching the seasons change. Frank once said, "If I had to live my life over again, I wouldn't change a thing." Those are words that can only be uttered by a man who lived doing what he loved and at peace with the way he did it. As an outfitter, Frank Golata showed us the way to the wild peaks. As a man, he showed us the way to love and respect the land and its marvelous creatures. The Frank Golata Outstanding Outfitter Award recognizes a North American outfitter, Wild Sheep Foundation exhibitor, and donor who outfits primarily for mountain game, whose entire career has exemplified the honor and dignity of the proud profession of guide outfitting.
To help present the award, please welcome out Jack Atcheson Jr.
I want to thank you all for showing up. You know, a great outfitter always shows up, and great outfitters like Frank Golata were never timid people. And the individual that's won tonight's award is anything but timid. I want to make it my introduction brief because this gent might have a thing to say about hunting and so forth. I'd like Coke Wallace from Midnight Sun Safaris to join me on the stage.
I am so humbled and honored to be put in the category with Frank Golata and the others that have come before me. You all know Urban Rahoy, I believe the second or third recipient of this award was a dear friend of mine and mentor. And one thing I would say is we are in a in a war for our culture and our traditions right now, and I guarantee you the other team may not know which bathroom to use one day to the other, but they are organized and motivated. And I've been in the fight for a long time, and I would ask all of y'all to join the brawl because we got a tough fight ahead of us. Alaska's game fields are being severely diminished from a lack of management and caring. Our government agencies that are supposed to be protecting and bolstering our resources are busy wasting millions of dollars suing one another when that's money they could be used to restore our game populations. And I think back to the mentors in my life besides my immediate family, mom and dad, who brought me on a wonderful adventure to Alaska. And I was fortunate enough to be very good friends with not only Urban Rahoy, but Bill Wagaman, John Swiss, the Branham brothers, and a lot of other wonderful guides and outfitters. And I hear all the time in the side of my head, Urban and Bill Wagaman and John Swiss saying it ain't rocket science. And in the good old days, when there was only two genders, park rangers poisoned wolves and shot eagles. And we need to get back to that. And if it offends people, I'm sorry, but sometimes the truth hurts. And I've been saying for years, until we bring these three-letter agencies under control, we're not going to fix things, man. Alaska's in sad shape. We could fix it fast, just like the duly elected guy fixed our nation real fast 7 years ago. We need to get back to doing things right, and we the people need to take charge. And I tell all you young people out there, if you want to be doing this 40 years from now, you better get a good understanding of your Constitution, your Bill of Rights, and your Bible, because that's what's going to lead us out of this mess. Thank you very much.